towards the end of our mission president was saying that he wanted us to start contacting more. I mean, we were in sectors where you've passed by so many people one day, you better be talking to them, you know? And sometimes you just get nervous and you don't want to talk to random people on the streets, but you can totally do it. And so it's just a matter of just smiling and saying hi and just starting up a conversation, you know? And I remember one time, my companion and I, her name is Amos, I was going to call her by her first name. I love this girl. She's awesome. And we were together, and it was my very last companion, my very last area, towards the last weeks of my mission. And we were passing the street, and there was this man just standing at a door, which is unusual. People don't normally just stand by their doors just hanging out there. Normally they're locked behind 5 locks, you know? And so we had the impression, we walked past him, we had the impression to turn around and to talk to him. And so we turned around and we just came up to him and we just like gave him a card and we told him a little bit. And he turned to us and he said, "Are you guys the kind of people that help people with their problems?" And I look at my companion and we're like, "Yeah, we help people with their problems through the gospel. Yeah, we're here to help you. I mean, what do you need, you know?" And he looks at us and he says, "Well, I hope you have time to come back around because this person needs a lot of help with a lot of problems." And we were just like, "Well, we're right here. I mean, tell us." So as we get to know this man, he was drinking 10 liters of alcohol a day. And he had lost his job. His wife and children had left him. He was living in a home with his brother who hated him, who didn't talk to him. And he didn't have any monetary funds to keep buying his alcohol, so he was selling furniture, selling clothing, selling anything he could to feed the addiction. And unfortunately, this addiction, he had had it since he was very, very young. I mean, just since he was a kid. Like 9 years old, and then he really was consistent about it when he was like 15 or something like that. So for years and years, and this is probably a 40, 50-year-old man, he had this addiction. And we began to talk about the atonement of Jesus Christ, or the sacrifice that he had done for us in order to have hope of a brighter future, that he has descended below all of our pains and he understands us. I mean, that's the reason why he did it, so that he could put his arm around us and say, "Hey, I understand you right now. Turn to me. I'm here. Turn to me. I'm here for you." And so we talked about that, and we invited him to go to the church with us the next day to have a lesson there with a couple other members there present with us. And he just started crying. And we're watching this grown man just like bawling, and we're just like, "Is this something we said, or what, you know, what did we do?" And he said, "I can't believe that I can walk into God's church." And I was just thrown back by the statement. And he's just like, "Am I really worthy just to step in?" And we were just like, "Yes, of course." The church it's not a museum for perfect people. And all of us are imperfect. Rather, it's a hospital for the imperfect people. That's why we're there. Nobody's perfect there. We're all learning and we make mistakes. And that's the reason why we're there. That's the reason why we take the sacrament. That's the reason why we're learning. That's the reason why we're there to try to help each other. And so anyways, I remember the next day when he had gone to the church and we talked a little bit about, you know, helping him with his addiction. And there's a 12-step program that the church has to help people who are going through strong addictions like that. It's called the 12-step addiction recovery program. And that's something that you can find like on LDS.org, and they had that down there to be like that program accessible, because you can go to meetings, private meetings with other people who are suffering with similar addictions, and they can help counsel them. And it's just a free service that the church offers. And it's all based around the atonement of Jesus Christ and how Jesus Christ can help us overcome those addictions. Anyways, as we started doing this, I remember him just, we invited him to say the last prayer. And he kneels down to pray. And I don't know if I've ever in my life heard such a heartfelt prayer. I mean, he was just pleading to God to please give him a second chance at life. And he was just pleading to God to help him get out of this horrible terror that he felt like he was living in. I mean, he had tried to commit suicide 2 or 3 times, and he was unsuccessful. And he said, for a reason I've been unsuccessful, and for a reason you want me here. And please just help my mind, help my heart to be open, so I can learn, so I can receive, so I can change. And anyway, so the story goes on as he just keeps learning and progressing throughout the weeks. And something that was neat is that after our very first initial contact, that second lesson, he came to the lesson just shaking. We were just shaking. And we were just like, what's wrong? And he's just like, I haven't had alcohol since the moment that we met yesterday. And we hadn't even talked about stopping drinking. We hadn't even mentioned a word about it. But he knew that's what he wanted to do. And he knew that's what was destroying his family. And so he knew that he wanted to change that. So was entering with a desire to change already. And I think that's what helped him progress, because he had such a great desire to change himself, you know? And so he was just shaking. And from that point all the way up until the moment he got baptized, he didn't drink at all. And that was just such a miracle for us to see, because he had this addiction for, I don't even know, 30 plus years. And there's no way, that was not us. There's no way that two girls from Utah could have helped him overcome that addiction at all. That is definitely God's miracle working inside this man and helping him have the strength not to drink. And it was a really neat experience for me, a little personally, is that my family had the chance to come down, and I'd worked things out with our bishop and the bishop up there, and my little brother got to baptize him for his baptism. And it was just so neat to, I don't know, just to share that with my family, and then to also see how his kids, his wife wasn't there, but his kids came to his baptism. And they turned to him, and I just remember watching them talk to him and saying, Dad, you've made a big change. And it was just so neat, and just the joy on his face, his face just lit up. I mean, I just remember when he came out of the water and he was done with his baptism, and he was just lit up. He was so happy, and it's just his eyes, and his family was piecing back together, and his life was piecing back together, and he had found a job before he had gotten baptized. There was just doors that had opened, and it was just amazing how his life was just coming back together. And it wasn't because of anything except for that when we truly have a desire to change and we truly choose to accept Jesus Christ and his gospel into our lives, that's the reason why it's there. It's to make us happy, even if we're going through terrible times. It helps us to have hope and to overcome them and to keep progressing. That's the point, is for us to keep progressing. So anyways, it was just a really, really neat experience.